In this lesson, we take a look at screens and the specs we need to consider when choosing a monitor. We also take a look at projectors, what they are, their important features, and common exam questions. We also touch on interactive whiteboards and why they are important. And if you enjoy the lesson, please don't forget to subscribe. Screens are the most important output devices of a computer device. It displays text, images, and videos, and is the method we communicate with the operating system through the GUI. In converged devices, this screen can both be an input and output device. Such examples would include whiteboards and touchscreens in cell phones. The specification of a screen is of great importance when choosing a screen for a specific purpose, and is therefore asked extensively in question 4 in the NAC question papers. The only measurement that looks at the physical size of the screen size is screen size, and this is measured diagonally from side to side in inches. Two examples are given, such as 13.3 inches or 24 inches. You need to know both methods of writing and be able to distinguish between the two. The resolution or pixel density in a screen is different from that of a scanner or an image, and you should therefore be careful to read your question correctly. The resolution is an indication of the horizontal pixels measured in a value compared to, with a multiplication sign, the horizontal pixels measured in a certain value. Screen resolution gives an indication of the maximum image quality of the screen, and the size of the screen does not always show the clarity of a screen's image. This allows users to make a more informed buying decision. One more thing about resolution. For visually impaired users, you can decrease the resolution. The contrast ratio or color depth is the colors that a screen can display. It is usually measured between the black is black and the white is white and is measured in bit. The higher the contrast ratio or color depth, the more vivid the image will be on display. Low contrast ratio will result in a muddier image with less detail. Aspect ratio is an indication of the shape of a screen horizontally to vertically. The most common ones are 16 to 19 and 4 to 3. This affects suitability for movies or even older projectors. Other screen specifications include the panel type, which can be curved or flat, LED, which is light emitting diode, LCD, which is liquid crystal display, or FHD, which is a high resolution display. The refresh rate is an indication of how quickly a pixel refreshes on a screen. The higher the refresh rate or response rate, the faster a new image can be displayed. Connectivity options include the option of VGA, which is older technology that only has image, compared to HDMI, which is a high-resolution picture with sound at a faster transition speed. The next output device we look at is data projectors. The main purpose is when a large display is necessary for groups of people, such as an event or in the classroom. The questions we usually ask is, which device is needed for large groups? Short questions on data projectors include the unit in which brightness is measured, which is lumens. And not all projectors are created equal. Aspect ratios and the distance in which the image can be displayed clearly, or throw distance, varies. Some older data projectors only connect with VGA, and newer ones with HDMI and even has a built-in speaker, or they can even connect wirelessly. Now when we look at when we have to use a monitor or a projector, and when each is necessary, we have to look at the scenario of the question. It is also a good idea to know what the advantages and disadvantages of a projector are to make an informed decision. The first advantage is that it has a large image size. But what you gain in image size, you lose in image quality. A projector is also usually portable, which means you can take it wherever you go. Unfortunately, you need a dark room for the image to display correctly. And lastly, another disadvantage, the lamps are quite expensive to replace, so the lifespan of the lamp is also important. Now, newer technologies such as the interactive whiteboard. The first thing we ask you is, what is the definition of an interactive whiteboard? And it's rather easy. It's a combination of input and output technologies, and it is used in a classroom to facilitate learning. They differ from traditional whiteboards in a way that we use a special pen to write on them, and is directly linked to a computer. This allows users to interact with the data that is displayed. On the next slide, we will look at the advantages and disadvantages of these boards. Okay, so we will first look at the advantages of an interactive whiteboard. Now, if you've ever used one or seen one being used, you will know that the images or the visual part is displayed on the board while the teacher talks during the display. Secondly, during the writing on the whiteboard, the notes can be stored electronically, and these notes can then be distributed afterwards. It also allows learners to become part of the learning process by either writing on the board themselves or simply taking part in a lesson. The disadvantages, unfortunately, are many. Teachers do need additional training for these devices, and that takes time. It's also expensive to maintain and even to purchase head-on. They use specialized software and equipment, which is again expensive and would require a teacher to get training. It also needs to be calibrated often, and it also sometimes has connectivity issues. If you've ever worked with a computer, you will know about that one. Oh, the joys of troubleshooting, and there is a few. Now, when we look at the questions, they will usually start with saying something like the projector saying there's no signal, or the monitor that has no display. Whenever you find a question like this, please look at what is indicated. Sometimes they will say that the cable is fixed, that there's nothing wrong with it. So then trying to say that check the cable whether or not it's connected will not be rewarded marks. But cables connected is a correct option. Then make sure that the source is correctly selected by choosing either HDMI or VGA as an output. Also make sure that the settings on the computer, when you press the window button with P, that it's on multiple devices. Or if the monitor does not have any display, or if then it could simply be that the computer is off, so switch it on, or that it's on sleep mode. Unfortunately, when a projector says no signal, it does mean that it's on, so you can't say switch it on. And then, does the drivers work? Maybe see if you can download a new driver. And with a screen with a monitor that does not display, a graphic card can also be a huge problem. Okay, time for the short exam style questions. Please pause the video after I've read the questions and write your answers in full sentences. Cheap, fast and easy won't award you any marks. So the first question. Other than resolution, which specification will you consider when buying a data projector? Second one. Name and explain 2 different ways to connect a monitor through wires to a computer. Discuss the difference between these 2 connections. Third, give 2 limitations of data projectors for showing computer output. compared to normal monitors? And lastly, which screen specification refers to the physical size of a monitor? Please pause and then we'll go through the answers. Okay, so for the first one on the data projector, it's a good idea to first look at the brightness as well as the throw rate of the projector. If you set contrast ratio, aspect ratio, connection options, and how portable it is, you will be correct. The two ways in which you can connect monitors wired through wires would be through VGA and HDMI. VGA is a connection that only allows image, while HDMI allows high definition image as well as sound with a higher transmission rate. Two limitations of data projectors include the image quality or clarity, which is usually lower. The normal limit is the 4:3 aspect ratio, which is almost square and is not suited for the most movies. Data projectors also has a lower contrast ratio, which results in muddier pictures with low color quality. And the only specification of a screen which has an indication of the physical size is the screen size, which is measured diagonally in inches. So, time for completing your summary. Now, this is best to do from memory and without looking at your notes, and this should help you to prepare just before your exam. If I were to do the summary, I would definitely make sure that I know all the screen specifications, the units and the definitions, and how each one is indicated. For data projectors, I will know the uses, the advantages and the disadvantages. For interactive whiteboards, again, the definition, which is an input-output system, the advantages and the disadvantages, and troubleshooting when a screen or a projector is not working is very important to know. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in our next video, which will be on storage devices, and that will include HDD, SSD, flash, optical, and cloud. If you enjoy my videos, please don't forget to subscribe, and any like, comments, or shares would be really appreciated. Thank you again, and have a lovely day. Bye.